Oh my God. Hey, everybody. This is episode 7 of I Swear to Drunk I'm Not God. And we got a special guest who's actually never been here before. And her name is Lauren Diamond.
Hey guys.
Say hi.
Long lost relative. How are you?
Did you say long lost relative?
It's your long lost relative, Lauren Diamond.
Hold on, get closer because you get close here. You say what?
I said cousins, uncles, brothers, and sisters.
I know that's right.
Out there.
So we out here. We're about to dive into some dark shit because this one's a bit gnarly. Thankfully, it's like one death and not several. That's the least we can ask. That's a little better. That's
not
the
high
least
numbers.
Yeah, exactly. That's the least we can ask for.
It's only one murder.
Oh shit! Hold on. Oh my God! Hold on.
What happened?
I got alcohol all over my face. Okay, so Luna is being a dick and attacking like she does every guest that ever comes on.
I need a safe word for Luna because she's like soft biting me at first. Now it's getting a little rough.
You were like, it was fun, and now it's just dangerous.
Now you're hurting.
Now you're hurting me. Soft bite. What is the safe word, Luna? Luna's like,
ouch.
There is no safe word.
There is no safe word. Look at your head.
Okay. So what are we drinking? We're drinking the Paper Plane. How is it?
It is amazing.
Luscious.
Super balanced drink.
Mm-hmm.
Nice and sweet,
Mm-hmm.
but you still feel the punch of the alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And I can barely feel Luna biting me.
Oh my God. It has
Luna.
it has a numbing effect.
Right.
Luna, do you want to get in your crate? She like, what the fuck you mean? She like, that's jail.
Somehow I'm having so much fun.
Okay, so who are we talking about? Because Lauren has no idea, which, as you know, that's like what I like to do.
Surprising.
Stop biting her hair. It's crazy, bitch.
She's gonna fucking play with me.
Okay, so we're on episode 7. Who are we talking about? We're talking about the gruesome murder of Iana Kasian, or maybe Kasian. I don't know. She was Ukrainian. But it's gnarly. It's not as bad as like any of the other ones I did this season. Like Egging. I mean, no, it's pretty terrible. It's terrible. It's not as bad as the Vampire Sacramento, which I was literally just listening to when you got here because I was like, let me go back because I feel like that one was pretty fucked up. And these days I've been trying to like grade it based on like my other episodes because my homeboy Dustin was like, you need to start listening. You need to start fucking mentioning your older episodes so people can go back. And I was like, oh, valid. So I've kind of been grading them based on previous episodes. Like, can you deal with child murder? Like, there's no child murder here, so we're safe. No animals and no kids, but there is Iana Kasian, who had a brutal, terrible death.
Are you a lesbian? You're a lesbian.
I think she is a little gay. This is what she really wants. So be careful with the beats. Luna, I need you to relax. Chill, bro. This is not a good time. Oh my, she is in rare motherfucking form. She is acting like an asshole. Like,
I've been wanting to play with, hey, listen, I've been wanting to play
company.
With
My mama was
well, Luna, so
I know that's right. And second, my mom was here for like a month. She had a friend like a motherfucker.
Now she misses her.
She's like, okay, now I got to replace this lady.
Right.
Okay. Oh, Paper Plane. So the poison is the Paper Plane. Paper Plane is basically equal parts everything. So it's 1 ounce of bourbon, 1 ounce of Aperol, 1 ounce of amaro nonino. Yes, because last time there was an episode I made a Negroni with this. 1 ounce of lemon. You shake that shit up with some ice, and then like you got a Paper Plane. You're good to fucking go. That's it. It's fire. I don't hate it.
Funny thing, I definitely said this tastes very balanced was my description of the drink.
It is balanced.
So equal parts, everything makes sense. It's good, guys.
Sorry, my dog is acting like an ass.
Rewind for that recipe.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, it's going to be in the show notes. So you can always go to the show notes if you want to get fucked up with us.
Hit the show notes and share.
This is like my fourth one. So
I like it.
This episode should be interesting. I like it too because it's almost like having a Negroni, but you threw in some fruit. You know?
So it's nice and sweet, like a little
pleasantness. Yeah, it's got something going on. All right, so let's do this. Let's dive in because it's late and, motherfuckers are grown. So I don't know why that was important to say. All right, so today we're going to talk about Iana Kasian. Now, she was brutally murdered by her fiance, Blake Leibel.
Murdered for love.
Yeah. And now let's start with who she is. Now, Iana Kasian was born January 27, 1986 in Estonia, which is in Eastern Europe. She moved to Kiev. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly.
I think you are.
In the Ukraine with her father and her mother, Olga. Now, she studied law and worked as a prosecutor for the Ukrainian tax service, or what they call the state fiscal service. She worked as a translator, and she was also a part-time model. So she was busy. She was working. Shit. I ain't mad at her.
Serious and sexy.
Yeah, exactly. Now, she was very pretty. There isn't a lot out there on Iana's past, though. I mean, not at beyond that point. She kind of just switched gears, and then she booked it. And she was doing this career in modeling. And then at some point in 2014, Iana immigrated to the U.S. with her sights set on Los Angeles, California, which, everybody likes to fucking leave and go to L.A. Yeah. Which that turned out to not be such a bad idea because she started getting gigs within the first few months of arriving. So, I mean, which is pretty impressive for fucking L.A. because L.A. is hard. At this point, she's 28. She started attending all these Hollywood functions and was hobnobbing with the Hollywood elite. And then in 2015, she meets Blake Leibel. So that's kind of historically where Iana ends. Now, Blake was born May 8th. You know what was funny too is that she was born January 27, 1986. I don't know if you remember my previous episodes, but this shit keeps happening to me. Because it's January 31st right now. Mm-hmm. This shit keeps happening to me where synchronicity shit.
The
where
birthdays are aligning.
Not even just the birthdays, but dates in the episodes. When it's not I'm Google fucking searching what crime happened this week in history. I'm not. This shit just keeps happening. It happened on a couple of episodes I did with my sister. Happened with a couple episodes I did with Dustin. I'm like, what the fuck is this about? I mean, I'm taking it as I'm supposed to do it, so it is what it is.
Take it.
Exactly. Exactly. So Blake was born May 8th, which makes him a Taurus, and that's not.
She's an Aquarius, so that's the other lineup. Because if she's January 27th, she's big Aquarius like me, and if he's May 8th, he's the
Taurus
bull like you. He's a Taurus.
Another synchronicity moment. Oh my. Okay, except this does not end well, so we won't claim all of that.
We won't take this as an example for how to be in life.
At all. So, okay.
Murder me.
Now, oh my God. No. Now, okay, May 8th, 1981. Now, he's from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I call it Canada on purpose. Canada. Blake came from a very wealthy family, living in the upper class Forest Hill neighborhood in Toronto. He was the heir to two mega fortunes. His mother, Eleanor Chidle Leibel, was heir to Auros Productions. Her parents were Paul and Leona Chidle, and they were the founders of a plastic manufacturer in Canada. So, needless to say, she grew up rich as fuck. Now, Paul, her father, had founded the plastic sheeting company in 1957, which is now known today as Polytarp Products Limited. So it still exists.
Wow.
Her father was controlling and incredibly unpredictable. Chidle was described by an employee as dominating personality. which, you know, it's kind of like, how do you even reach success without being dominating as fuck? I don't know.
Yeah.
But according to the Ottawa Sun, quote, unfortunately, he was a bully. The judge in a 1990 case wrote when Chido was hit with a lawsuit by a supplier, and they basically said he intimidated his employees and his suppliers. So he was a businessman.
Gotta keep these dollars in line.
Period. And like, let's be fucking for real. Like, in order to become success, sometimes you have to just be nasty. I hate to say it, but you're dealing with a lot of other nasty people. So you don't have the privilege of pleasantries all the time.
Can't stop to think about feelings.
Nope. Now, in one lawsuit, Leona was listed as being acutely bipolar. That's the grandmother of Blake, not his mother. This was in the 1980s. Now, she appeared, quote, vague and emotionally fragile. It appeared torture for her to focus on the question and demonstrate any independent recall. So needless to say, she was a little mentally ill. Now, this is according to a judge in a lawsuit filed against the Bank of Montreal in 2001. Her mother and father would eventually separate. So she didn't come from a broken home, but, you know, just like couples do, the shit didn't work out. Clearly, the mom was crazy. So that's probably why the father was like, yeah, I think we should go our separate ways. You know. Now, eventually, Paul would die, the father. That was on July 29th, 1998, after having a massive stroke in the mid-90s. Okay. Now, in his will, this was interesting. He laid out who he wanted to have what. He listed how many luxury cars, 2 Mercedes and 1 Cadillac, his living partner could like get. Like, this is all you're getting, bitch. And then what bonuses should go to longtime employees. But as a condition of his generosity, however, he gave his trustees the right to withhold cash and property from any beneficiary found to be carrying the HIV virus. What the fuck does that have to do with the price of tea in China?
What the fuck? That does not make sense at all. That is I hate people with AIDS.
Like,
nothing else is. What
the fuck? So he also insisted
you
that
HIV, then no, because shit, probably.
Thank you. But then he also insisted that the trustees be allowed to test any beneficiary for HIV, as well as drugs and alcohol, before paying out any fucking cash.
It had to be what he thought about the way that you contract it, because that's the only thing that makes sense. Because what?
I mean, when you really think about it, it's the fucking 80s.
And it is that he died in 1998. So yeah, if it's the 80s, he's probably under the guise that if they're a fucking drug addict or they're homosexual or something, all the things that you blamed AIDS on back in those days, I'm assuming that he's like, yeah, like you can't be gay or
on
drug
drugs.
Addict.
Yeah, I mean, my assumption, he's like an old school ass dude. Like, he died in the 90s, so he was old as fuck in the 90s. So he probably just had those old school sensibilities.
You're
like,
gonna tarnish my legacy.
Yeah, and I want you to be like on the level. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to be giving all my money to a bunch of fucking drug addicts.
Right. And people who do scandalous shit.
Yeah, facts. Now, he then set up 2 trusts for his 2 daughters and his grandson. And it's believed that Eleanor, who is Blake's mother, received $12 million in property, cash, and stocks. On to Lorne. Now, Lorne is Blake's father. He was also extremely successful. He was a real estate mogul, but he was also a public figure because he raced and did some Olympic sailing. He was inducted in the Canadian Motorsport Hall of Fame, but he was also making a shit ton of money developing homes. Like, his oldest son claims that he had built over 40,000 houses. Damn. And now Lorne had his fair share of controversy. In 1976, he was the first Canadian to fail a drug test.
He's my type of Lorne.
He had traces of a, quote, banned stimulant, which, you know, could be cocaine, Could be steroids. That can go any way.
Probably cocaine.
And it was probably cocaine. But his father was a bit of a playboy. He had his own fair share of scandals with prostitutes and with drugs. And and I mean, he survived. And he once sued a former lover in 2011 for a tell-all memoir that she was planning on writing. And it was called 416 Ferrari Man, The Secret Life of Lorne Leibel. But it never came out because he was like, bitch, I will bury you if you release this.
You don't name your whole book after me, bitch. It's a tell-all. I'm all that you have to tell, bitch. No.
And second of all, you can't wait till I die.
And then you're gonna do the secret life of you and let me be a fucking
not
character.
The secret life of
bitch,
you.
Now you're just gonna write my life story.
You're not about to embarrass me while I'm still alive.
Right.
Like any ex-boyfriend who has a sex tape of me, like wait till I die.
I'm about to do these drugs that I failed this drug test for, and I'm gonna fucking crush you like a bug.
You bitch.
You're right, you bitch. Trying to tell me. I don't like to be told on.
Period. Now, Lorne was like every other rich, entitled father, except he wasn't really into raising his son Blake. Oh. He wasn't a fan of Blake. Now, obviously, Eleanor would marry Lorne. This is like, she married him, so that's her man. And they had Blake, and they had another son, Cody. Cody is actually the oldest, but they actually separated when the boys were little. There were actually two sources. One source said that they separated in like the adult years, and then another source said they separated when they were kids. But they never got divorced. They just separated. And Cody, the older of the two, moved in with his father, and that's not his name. Blake lived with his mother. You know how I feel about this already, because why? Now, Cody was Lorne's favorite. He doted on him, and he had apparently bought Cody's hockey coach a house so he can make the team. That's rich as fuck. You like, my son needs to get on this hockey team, and you tell the coach, I'm gonna fucking buy you a house. That's wild. Like, that's too much money. Like, you just bought this man a whole ass house just so your son can make the hockey team.
He's not even gonna be on the team that long.
No. Now, Cody eventually founded, like, as he got older, a record label called, it's not funny, but it's kind of funny. It's called C Note Records. Which no longer exists. And he enjoyed, this was his vice, he enjoyed unlicensed high stakes celebrity gambling. So he also got into real estate. So Cody was doing well. At 23, he became the world's youngest owner of a $1.2 million Ferrari Enzo.
Damn.
I know, like, so I'm a failure.
Okay, I could see why he might have been the father's favorite, because
they kind of the same.
He saw in him that he had the same drive or
he
ambition.
Was with the shits.
Yeah.
Which I'm kind of like,
so what was
birds
Blake
of a
doing?
feather? Yeah. We're gonna get to.
What the fuck was you doing while Cody is experiencing greatness?
Hell yeah, probably getting pussy, driving fast cars.
Right, driving a Ferrari while getting some head.
Oh my God, I'm gonna spit my drink. Now, meanwhile, they only made 100 of those Ferraris, so fucking Cody was living. Now, Paul Cheadle, the granddad, he actually wrote in his will, quote, "I make this direction not," because he cut Cody out of the will. And he said, "I made this direction not due to a lack of love or affection, but only due to my belief that he will be more than adequately provided for by his father." So it's like well known that Lorne loves Cody, his oldest son.
Right, because the grandfather cut
he's
you
like,
out of his will.
He's like, I ain't even gonna give you no money. Your father gonna take care of you. You good.
Right, you gonna have all the shit. Right.
I'd be pissed if I was Cody, but okay.
And your father, you'll be good.
Period. Now, Blake, on the other hand, was, according to a friend, quote, very scared of his father. He wanted to impress him and prove that he was, not a mistake.
Aw.
which is very fucking depressing.
You're
And
the second kid. You're not a mistake. They did that shit on purpose.
they did. Yeah. Nobody like, it's like, yeah, the
They
second
would've
one, let's
learned
do
from
it.
Cody.
Now, he tried to earn his father's love, and it was just very hard for him to do it. This was according to a friend. Blake was not a fan of the relationship Cody had with his father, Lauren. He was like, this is bullshit. Now, Blake was a geek. Blake was into video games and comic books, and one friend said that he was hyper intelligent, almost too smart for his own good. Living with his mother was not that bad, though, because he was able to do whatever he fucking wanted to do, and his father gave him an $18,000 per month allowance. He had a stipend.
Giving him that guilt money.
Mm-hmm. He like, I don't fuck with you for real, but here you go. Here's $18,000 a month.
Do this to let you know I give a fuck.
Kinda. So he attended University of Western Ontario, where he and a group of friends decided to move to LA. Now, this is also when Cody moved to LA, because Cody, it wasn't his original idea to move to LA. His brother was moving. He was like, fuck it, I'll go out there too. Now, LA was where Blake would call himself, quote, the creator of worlds. That because he was a creator. And in Hollywood, he started networking and pitching like sci-fi ideas. Some were pretty dark, with many references to psychology and murder. And according to the Hollywood Reporter, a friend would later say that he had these really big, cool ideas, but he could never really execute them, aka me. Except if I was like mad rich, making movies wouldn't be a problem.
Mrs. Me Too.
Mm-hmm.
Over here.
Because low key, like, I got taste in movies. Like, if I had like producer money to invest, like, that's the easy part. Reading a script and like breaking down the script and being like, yeah, this is gonna be dope. And then casting a script is like, yeah, I know exactly who can play in this. And then creating a budget and then paying for them to do it is like, why is this hard? The only big issue is just the fact that I don't got no money like that. Like, that's the hardest part.
Meanwhile, people are getting rich off cell phone series.
I mean, period. And you know, my biggest, but I think low key, my biggest issue with that is that I went to film school, and to me, nothing great can be really made from that.
From a
cell phone. Fuck that.
You sure?
I mean, nowadays for sure. Like, I got a Samsung. My Samsung is crazy. I could fucking film aliens on the moon.
The cameras on Samsung are crazy.
Intense.
And the way that these phones cost, the phone costs as much as an expensive camera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they like $1,500. Fuck yeah. Like, so yeah, mine has like a fucking 10 times telephoto lens. I think my current phone has like a 30 times telephoto lens. There is shit you can do, but even when I was in film school, you have to learn ISO. I mean, it's funny. I went to brunch with my mom and my sister, and we were going to go out to the suburbs to go shopping. And I've been talking to this girl up at the Social over on, you were just there. Yeah. And I was there.
Saw it. I'm like,
I know.
Why?
Fuck dude. Anyway. Whatever. We'll talk about that later. But I went up there, and there's a bartender there. She's a Columbia student, and I went to Columbia, but she's a sound major. So I was talking to her, and I started asking her like what they were doing in production. Because I was telling her, I was like, what people get so fucked up about filming is that it's not just a matter of taking a camera and filming. It's science. If you don't understand lighting,
I just learned
it doesn't matter what the fuck this phone can do. If you can't get the ISO right, if you can't get the aperture right, if you're not using the right lens, you know what I mean? Like, in cinematography is about using light to tell a story. If you don't know how to make that thing look like what you want it to look like, having the camera just really don't fucking matter.
It's like you're gonna have garbage, but you know what? I think that's why a lot of people are becoming successful, because we're so exposed to just regular shit on a daily basis. It's kind of easy for somebody to be amazing.
Oh, period.
Or just new, because they'll take it if it's like shitty, but it hasn't been done before. It looks different from anything they've ever seen. It's like, okay, they're a genius.
But you know what, too? I think the biggest, especially because I was in school in the early 2000s. I think the difference, though, is that the market is too oversaturated. And the technology is too easy. So what made Quentin Tarantino and Martin Scorsese and Steven Spielberg and George Lucas and Brian De Palma and all these great filmmakers, was because they were creating content at a time where it was hard to make the content. You look at somebody like,
took some legwork.
Fuck yeah, because they were shooting on film. So I'm sitting up at this bar and I'm talking to this girl and I'm asking her, I'm like, yo, like what camera are y'all using right now? I said, because we were using the 16 millimeter Bolex, which is a black and white camera that you have to load, and you literally have to basically change the film in like a fucking tint because it can't be exposed to light. So we had to do first silent. And then by the time we got into the second year, we were migrating to sound. So now you're taking a silent film, you're adding sound to it. And I remember being in production class with a moviola.
You're gonna lick and bite my feet. You better
I know, this is her freaky ass. Sit down. You were doing so good.
Freaky Luna in the building.
But we had a fucking moviola with the reel on either side, and you had to crank that bitch, and then you had to cut it, you had to splice it, you had to tape it. And you didn't know what the fuck it was gonna look like.
Ooh,
and I can't,
magical.
It was magical as fuck, because I literally can't imagine what they had to go through trying to create what they were the magic that they were creating that was not as simple as hitting a fucking button. Because that's what the kids are seeing now, is that like, oh, you want this to be in black and white. Well, there's a filter that does that. Back then, they had like black and white film, like actual like celluloid that didn't develop in color. You know, like when we shifted to color, it was like literally like motherfuckers when they were doing the talkies in the 20s. We were like, oh my God, we get to film in color? This was in 2005. So anyway, I'm saying all that to say that people sometimes forget that filmmaking isn't just about taking a script and producing it and then having it show up on the screen. The whole process is science.
Yeah, I've experienced that recently. Like, yeah, even to gather everyone and get them on the same page,
coordinate,
or get them to a point where they can't fuck up your final vision.
Yep.
It's a fucking thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, you got to deal with, I could see, yeah, you told me about the producers and directors. Mm-hmm. I could fucking see why. You got to deal with all the emotions, and you pretty much have to be an asshole if you're like sticking true to a vision and you have all these other people who are kind of like, oh, I want to show you what I can do, or what's going to be my idea that's going to bring some magic. And then you have to like fucking wrangle them. You got to beat them the fuck
wait
down.
Wait a minute. Yes. I mean, but then also it is a collaborative effort. So, you know, because I was a producing major, part of the production process that I focused on as a creative producer, because that's what my goal was to be, was a creative producer, was to bring the type of people that suited, like that had the background that suit what I wanted to see. And then we collaboratively make the project work. I think one of the things that Hollywood has always had an issue with is they put certain people in higher positions where the people below, who sometimes know more than they do, don't have the privilege to say, that's not going to work.
All right, like that's
because if fucking Spielberg said that you need to do it, it was funny too. So I'm not name dropping, but I'm a kind of name drop. So me and Sal, my mom, are sitting at the Drake. And I haven't thought about this dude in forever, but we used to work with George Lucas's son. If you don't know who George Lucas is, George Lucas is the creator of Star Wars. We used to work with his son. He was a PA back in the early seasons of Chicago Fire, like fucking season 2 or some shit. And we're sitting at the Drake, we're talking. I have not thought about this dude in fucking years. And his godfather is Steven Spielberg. Nice. Now, his son, his name's Jet, used to come in and out of the office all the time. We used to fuck with him all the time. And he's a fun dude. So he's one of those dudes, like you banter with him in the kitchen and shit. He's adopted. So he kind of has like that that
You'll always be
spirit of
down to
not,
earth.
that spirit of not truly belonging or whatever. And being George Lucas' son, so many people were intimidated by him because I was like, of course. I mean, I'm not a Star Wars fan, but if I was, I could see it, but I also know George Lucas's wife. So to me, I was like, I mean, shit, these are people.
Wars fan, but I didn't see it till like my late 20s, and I'm like, oh, this shit is dope. All
It
the
is.
concepts.
I mean, I love the Mandalorian. I love the new shit that they're doing too, because I really ended up liking the Mandalorian. But anyway, so I knew him, and I remember thinking, like, I can't imagine what it must be like to have access to that level of like resources and creativity. Like Steven Spielberg's your godfather, and George Lucas is your father. That's nuts. Who is your play uncle? God damn it. Martin Scorsese? What is happening? You know what I'm saying?
From his perspective, I definitely wonder what it's like, because it's like when you're in your own skin, it's like, well, I'm just me.
Yeah.
And then you get the people's reaction of you telling you a story about yourself that you don't even necessarily believe.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's, I would wonder, for me, if I was just taking the score and in his skin, I'd be like, well, bitch, I walk on water. You're gonna do it because the fuck I said.
Because I fucking said do it. But that's the ego element. And I think with people like him, and I don't know him now, so I can't speak on who he is now. But then being young and kind of just trying to figure out his place in all this shit, I think there was an intimidation with that, of growing up in that type of environment and not feeling like, fuck, can I even, you know what I mean? It's that living in your father's shadow type shit where it's like, you're never going to really have your own identity. You're going to always be associated with George Lucas.
Yeah, you're intimidated by the pressure on you. Meanwhile, everyone else is intimidated by who you're connected to. So you're just kind of in the middle, like, what do I do? Like, I'm scared.
You're in a limbo.
But obviously I'm important, but I'm scared. Yeah. But I'm important.
And then what do you do with everything that you literally have access to? Like, do you go in and you start creating movies? Do you follow in your father's footsteps? Or do you just simply say, fuck it, I'm not going to be a part of any of this shit? But I say all of that to say that it made me think about, in that moment when we were sitting there talking about, I was like, fuck, to have that, especially when I was aspiring desperately to be a producer, a filmmaker, I was like, oh God, to have access to that type of investment money. You know what I mean? Like, this shit would be so easy. Like, in my head, it wasn't complicated. Like, even when I think of what you just said with coordinating and like trying to bring everybody together to make it work, if you got the contacts and you got the money, people gonna show the fuck up. It's when you're trying to get them to do shit for free that it's a problem. And I remember that from the filmmaking days. Sorry, Luna, she just tried to pull her headphones off. I remember that from the filmmaking days when it was like, well, goddamn, is anybody gonna do this shit if I can't pay them $3,000 a week?
Well, I just figured out the answer. Because, okay, so you get all these people without the resources. What it does is it forces your intelligence and it forces your creativity. It forces it. You have no choice. That's the magic. Like, not feeling like you have a choice. I feel like choice as human beings is kind of like our curse. Because when you really think about it, when you have no choice, you just make shit happen.
True.
Like, you just do. Like, you don't.
You don't have no options.
And when people fucking ask you about it, you're like,
I just did that shit.
You're impressed? I had no fucking choice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Like, that's cool that you're impressed.
There's no analysis paralysis because generally it's only one option.
And when you have the resources, now you're intimidated by like, oh,
how many resources you have.
Exactly. So if I don't come up with an awesome finished result,
I'm fucked.
I obviously fucking suck.
Yeah. And if you got a lot of resources and you suck, then you really suck.
That part. So
because you can make
right there.
because motherfuckers can make a Hollywood movie. I'm sorry, they can make like a horror film. Horror films are the easiest things to do independently because horror films and comedies honestly have the privilege of being terrible. Like you can make a classic terrible genre horror film or comedy, right? And you can make that movie and you could do it with very little resources and it could be completely trash and everyone will love you for it. But if you got all the sources in the world and that movie is trash, people would be like, what a waste of resources.
This is what you came up with,
you stupid bitch. Okay, I'm sorry. We just talked about that. We got to get back on track. I don't even know where I was. But okay, so he goes to LA. He's networking. He's pitching his sci-fi ideas. Now, somewhere, some of his shit was pretty dark, and people were like, he referencing a lot of like psychological shit and murder. But according to the Hollywood Reporter, he had all these big ass ideas, and he didn't know how to execute them. That's where we ended. Another friend said that, quote, a lot of people thought Blake was some sort of genius. Others thought that he was a con man and a salesman. That's all they thought he was. They didn't necessarily think he was a genius.
That's a good place to be. That just means that your results would have proven either way.
Yeah, facts. Now, shut up, Luna. Now, in 2006, he would meet Amanda Braun. Now, she was a model from San Luis Obispo. Never heard of this place. It's in California. But she was a partier. She was mad wealthy, but she was a good person by all accounts. And people kind of would laugh when they were together because they really didn't understand how they were a good mix. He went to Comic-Con every year. She was a fucking partier. He was a regular geeky kid. He had a passion for comics. She was fun. She was boisterous. She knew a bunch of people. He was mad reserved. When she was out partying, he was like, I'll stay in the house, play my video games. I don't know what the fuck you was on. Now, even so, he focused on what he wanted to, and he did okay. And by 2008, he would go on to direct a high school comedy called Bald. Now, Bald was about a balding college student whose friends create an erotic website to raise money for a hair transplant. That was what that movie was about. And even worked. I mean, decent concept.
Interesting enough.
Yeah. And he even worked as a creative consultant on Mel Brooks's animated series based on Spaceballs, which I'm going to admit, I've never seen Spaceballs. I like Mel Brooks, but I've never seen Spaceballs.
Heard of Mel Brooks. I can't say.
Robin Hood Men in Tights. Dave Chappelle. Mm-hmm, that's Mel Brooks. Blazing Saddles.
Okay, so he's all comedy.
He's comedy. Like a motherfucker, yeah. He was apparently very outgoing. He just liked to make people laugh, but he had his tribe. You know what I mean? Some people don't fit in every scene. Now, in one scene in Bald, he actually wanted to change the script to require 14 women to actually go bald. And they were like, yeah, no.
We don't got time for that.
Now, one of the few reviewers to see the film said that it would only appeal to, quote, the late night channel surfer who stumble upon it while bored or inebriated. That's the only person who would want to watch Ball. And then among the plot keywords for the movie on IMDb there was panties, white panties, black panties, and crotch shot. Those were the keywords. I didn't even look it up because I ain't watching that shit. Yeah, I don't know.
Sounds like
it sounds like some dumb shit.
Like a national, like he wanted
American
to be a
Pie.
National Lampoon or something like that.
Which is, slapstick comedy was perfectly fine in that age, 2008 for sure. Now, he would go on to co-write a screenplay about a serial killer called Psychopomp. And then in 2010, he wrote a graphic novel called Syndrome. Now, according to the Hollywood Reporter, Syndrome became Blake's calling card. Blake would start a company called Fantasy Prone, and he would publish the graphic novel under a company called Archaea. The cover, quote, the cover depicted a wide-eyed baby whose scalp had been peeled half off, exposing the vicious brown tubing of a brain, followed by a question. If you loved hurting things, what would you do?
Interesting.
Very. Now, the opening sequence featured a grisly torture scene, including a body dripping with blood, and another scene portrayed a beheaded woman lying on a bed in a pool of blood. A character named Dr. Wolf Chiddle, who is named after technically his mother's maiden name because her last name was Chiddle, hires an actress to role play with him, and then nearly kills her. Now, with Syndrome, Blake seemed more interested in exploring whether sociopathy could be isolated in the brain and removed. That was like the concept of Syndrome. But the book's conclusion wasn't so rosy. In the end, a narrator warns, we all become monsters.
Yeah, that's interesting. He's kind of telling some shit about himself.
He sure is.
It's like a mirror.
It's like a prequel.
Isolated and removed. So that's like that was a concept.
It was.
You wondered if you're crazy. Oh, I guess
if you're crazy,
the writing
could be removed.
Was your way of isolating your crazy shit,
getting it out of your system.
Huh.
Now, the story revolves around this Dr. Wolf Chido, who was a neuropathologist, and he embarks on a mission to study a serial killer and discover a cure for the ailment that compels, quote, guys like him to do awful things. Now, in March 2011, he and Amanda got married and they had a baby boy. On June 4th, 2011, Blake's mother passed away from lung and metastatic brain cancer. She was 61. Blake was heartbroken. He didn't attend the funeral. He had once talked to his mother on Skype and cried like a baby when he saw that she had lost her hair.
Yeah, sometimes that's a lot.
Yeah. And according to a friend, he fucking lost it. He started expressing rage with someone, touching his head. He didn't like that shit at all. He would throw tantrums when he didn't get his way. And he would berate people and then just like apologize. You could tell he couldn't really control the emotion. Yeah. So Blake would inherit $6 million from his mom. But Blake would contest it, citing that Lorne, his father, changed the will last minute. Blake felt betrayed as fuck by both his brother and his dad over this will. This was around the time that...
Betrayed over $6 million?
I mean, come on. Now, you're getting $18,000 a month, too, from your father. So you got the inheritance and you're getting an $18,000 a month stipend. Now, around this time, Blake's closest friends, like from Toronto, the ones he moved to LA with, he started to drift away from them. As far as his work ethic, though, one friend at work spilled the tea, mentioning that he was pretty addicted to weed and burning through his and his folks' cash on big projects that often flopped. Apparently, Leibel would casually stroll into a local comic book shop and he would try to give away his graphic novels for free. According to a friend who wanted to stay anonymous, but another collaborator mentioned that Leibel often skipped meetings and seemed fixated on themes of violence and brutality. So Leibel penned a mysterious 2-page intro for Syndrome, posing the question, if you loved hurting things, what would you do? However, it's a bit hazy how much Leibel was really involved in the final product. The industry pros who crafted the book spoke in 2010 interviews revealing that Leibel merely tossed them a loose concept and they just ran with it.
I don't give a fuck if it turned out successful, bitch, and I am the tree.
I am the originator.
My fucking tree, and it's mine.
It's mine. Yeah. So now it's pretty clear that Leibel wanted his due credit. And in the early edition, the book jacket tucked his bio down to the bottom beneath the writers, the illustrator, and the designer. But in the later versions, his name was proudly displayed.
Oh, yeah. He threw his weight around.
Accompanied by a hefty biography.
He threw some weight around.
Now, or it could have been post this shit. So in them trying to capitalize off of it.
Hell yeah.
So in Leibel's world, folks point to various moments when his problems kicked in. For some, it went south when his flashy LA lifestyle began to crumble after his mother passed away in 2011. But a friend later said his mom was the person he was closest to, and that just really unhinged him. She was an anchor for him. So that's probably what fucked him up. Now, Leibel had no income, but he did have his allowance and he had his inheritance. So after his mother passed, he told the court that he needed his dad to cover his card bills. Card bills is a quote, not credit card bills, but card bills. Dad, on the other hand, said he and Leibel's mom had been bankrolling his fancy ass LA lifestyle to the tune of $1.8 million over the last 7 years.
$1.8 No,
which
that's not
the math ain't mathing, but
over the last 7
maybe it
years.
is.
That's
Hold on.
mathing.
What's 12 times 7? 84?
Yes.
I put 1800. Fuck, I'm drunk. This is why you can't be an accountant and have long ass nails. I can't even do basic arithmetic.
How your calculator?
Oh yeah, 1.5. It's 1.5 actually. So he gave him extra 300K.
Right. So it's like, don't try to say like he's doing something extra. I mean,
like fuck off.
Like, you're fucking rich. Give me some fucking money.
Exactly. Now, fast forward to 2013. He ended up on the losing side of a legal battle because to add a little drama, the law firm that fought for him turned the tables in 2015, and they sued him for $400K in unpaid fees. Now, we're going to go back to Amanda, which is the woman that he was dating. So, I know, hot ass mess. So
they sue the law firm.
They like, fuck you. We suing you. You owe us money. So Libel ditched her. He ditched Amanda, his wife of 4 years. And to add some spice, she was 8 months pregnant when he dropped the divorce bomb that July. And word from Libel's friends is that around that time, he started getting all jumpy and paranoid. Plus, he ditched his Toronto crew, remember, in LA, cutting off ties with everyone. And his friend later basically said, we figured it was because he was awkward about the whole wife situation.
Awkward about the whole wife situation?
Yeah.
What do you mean feeling awkward? Why would he feel awkward?
I mean, he's a weirdo, so anything's possible. Not everyone...
about leaving her at 8 months?
Yeah, with the baby. Like, you know, you embarrassed by some shit. You're like, you know what? I'm a reset.
Yeah, I guess maybe that is
I'm
kind
a
of
reset.
awkward. It's like, oh, why'd you leave her?
Yeah. Now, not everyone sees Libel's life shift, though, as something as, like, out of the ordinary. Ronald Richards, the guy who repped Libel in the divorce saga, mentioned it was pretty much the standard deal you'd expect from someone going through a messy breakup. Richards reassured that Libel was still tight with his kid, and he was aiming for a smooth, friendly divorce settlement. On the flip side, Braun's lawyer, Pedram Ansari, said that Amanda had a hard time getting in touch with Libel post his vanishing act. Amanda is 8.5 months pregnant, and one day he's gone. That's what Mansari said.
That makes more sense because she's 8 months pregnant. It's like, he's still tight with his kid. Motherfucker, you left before he got here.
left.
That doesn't make sense.
Well, he
tight with the baby.
Well, this is their second kid.
Okay. So
Yeah.
he's tight with the first kid, but he's... Okay.
He got one in the oven, and he just like, I gotta get the fuck up out of here.
I don't know if I like the first situation. Goodbye.
Now, he did just completely change from what Mansari understood. And during those months, Libel would... And I may be wrong, actually. I may have moved too far ahead. Let me finish because I'm drunk. But during those months, Libel was swing by Trevor Goring, who was a Hollywood illustrator hired to adapt his screenplay into a graphic novel. He swing by Trevor's place and he had his baby with him. Okay, baby was born. To check out some black and white sketches for his graphic novel Psychopomp. And then Goring grabbed it as like a pet project. He was like, I kind of did it, didn't really care either way. I was kind of just doing it on nights and weekends type shit. And then Libel was literally paying him like $250 a page, which is above industry standard, you know what I mean, to draw these pages. So he was like, fuck it. So Goring said, he was like, we had lunch, the kid was behaving, it was totally normal, like there was no issues. That's kind of how Goring is. He was like, but at that lunch, I also met Iana Kasian, his girlfriend.
Okay.
From the Ukraine.
So this is the new, so she's kind of a new girlfriend.
She's a new girlfriend.
Yeah.
Post marriage, post divorce. So Goring remembers her as cool, good looking girl with a slight Eastern European vibe, and they seemed happy together. He was just like, whatever. Now in August 2015, Amanda gave birth to their second child. Another boy, but Blake was already in a relationship with Iana, and months later, Iana would become pregnant. So he knocking bitches up left and right.
Okay, he having baby.
His soldiers are definitely marching. Now, quote, Braun only found out about Leibel's new girlfriend when she bumped into him walking on the street, said Mansouri. And Blake had a midlife crisis, left his wife, immediately got a new girlfriend and got her pregnant and abandoned all of his friends. So at this point, Blake is totally unhinged. He's getting... seriously, like he's getting even fucking weirder. And then the following year, on May 3rd, 2016, Iana Kasian gave birth to a baby girl. Now, little did Iana know, amidst the whole divorce stress and the twist of diving into a new thing with Kasian, Blake was also juggling a fling with a colleague by the name of Constance Buccafuori, which is Italian as fuck. Right after Iana welcomed Blake's daughter into the world, court filings show that Buccafuori dropped a rape allegation on Leibel, which may be tied to him evicting her out of one of his houses. So he had a mistress. Wait, first of all, he had a former wife that he just divorced. He got a new girlfriend, and then he had another girlfriend that he was just fucking around with. Even Comic-Con geeks are fucking whores. So now there was a chaotic scene at the house with Blake eventually getting arrested. The witnesses were saying that he was tased, and Amanda Braun's friends figured that Amanda thought the whole tasering episode was what led him to a psychotically angry state of mind. She think tasing kind of zapped the craziness out of him.
So he got tased, right?
He got tased.
Yeah, that might have been
because he was wild.
A turning point. I'm
not
gonna lie.
Then there was Cody. Now, adding to the chaos on the home front, Blake was getting very jittery about his brother's deep dive into high stakes underground gambling. FYI, that gambling ring that Cody Leibel got into later scored a spot in the 2017 flick starring Jessica Chastain called Molly's Game. Molly's Game is actually very good.
I definitely was wondering when you first said he had a penchant for high stakes celebrity gambling. First thing I thought was Molly's Game.
Game is the shit.
So,
yep.
Okay.
There you go.
It is connected to Molly's Game.
Now, word got out that Cody even threw his support behind the legal defense of a suspect tangled up in some organized crime sports betting shit. Like, Cody he in there, okay? He in there like swimwear. This motherfucker is a fucking criminal.
Cody's the bad boy.
He is. He probably fine, too. I ain't even look up a picture. I'm going to look it up and post it on my Instagram.
What's the last name?
Cody Leibel, Leibel. A friend of Blake said on their text exchanges showing Blake going off the deep end with irrational worries about his brother's gambling, freaking out about mob hits on his child, his dad, Lorne, making shady moves under Blake's name, decoding website nonsense as secret plots against him, and a bunch of other baseless concerns. Paranoia like a motherfucker.
Hard as fuck.
Now, the details of what went down over the next month are kind of fuzzy, but the basics are straightforward. On May 20th, just past midnight, LAPD from Wilshire Division, south of Leibel's West Hollywood home, arrested him on the suspicion of sexual assault. This is the sexual assault towards his girlfriend. He clocked in a solid 15 hours in the system that day, as per the jail records, before throwing down $100,000 bail paid by Amanda Braun, his ex-wife. That nigga would have been sitting in there rotting if it were me. Fuck you. Are you kidding? I just had 2 whole ass babies. First of all, Amanda's rich. She was rich when she met him. She don't need his money. You got me knocked up twice. Then you ding dong ditch the fuck out of me for some Ukrainian woman. And then I find out you got a whole other girlfriend
that you're committing crimes.
That you're raping, my guy. Then you go to jail for that shit and you get $100,000 bail. You think I'm gonna give it to you?
She's probably thinking like, well, I'm the only one who made it to the position of wife, so I'm the most important thing here. We've got the 2 kids.
If you that insecure, because I swear to God, I'm not spending $100,000 for you to get the fuck out of jail. I'm not. You gonna have to fight off the booty warriors on your own. Call your daddy. Where your brother at? Where your gambling ass brother who's sitting around in $1.2 million Ferraris that they only made 100 of? Where he at?
If you're rich as fuck, is it a little bit harder to recognize when you're insecure?
Facts. Because your ego is all in your money. Touche.
Yeah, it's kind of like, what the fuck do I have to worry about? I'm fucking rich.
I'm rich as fuck.
I did it because I fucking wanted to. And because I could.
That's period. Yeah, you're right. Now, once libel got released, word got out about yet another round in their ongoing shit show with Iana. They were fighting. They had a little bit of a tumultuous relationship. She packed up her baby, Diana, and hit the road. And she was crashing at her mom's house. Now, her mom was from Kiev. She lived in Kiev. But when Kasian got wind of the arrest, she bounced. She was like, I can't live with this motherfucker no more. The Kasian, Iana, she left, went to Olga's. She rented her mom an apartment down the street to help her with the baby. Her mom was only in LA to help her with the new baby. So she wasn't like she lived in LA, but she had rented her a home. Now, according to the court filings, after Kasian and her mom hit the stores for a baby stroller on May 23rd, Olga never laid eyes on her daughter again. Okay. Now, their phone chat that lasted over 7 minutes on the afternoon of May 24th ended up being their final exchange. Surveillance footage at the Holloway apartment complex and phone records pointed to Kasian making it back at around 9:30 p.m. After that, she never left her apartment alive. That day, a Tuesday, Libel shot a message to Kasian. He said, I'm sorry, but I can't live without you. Like that was his message. That was according to a family friend. Kasian agreed to quickly meet up with Libel. Now, spoiler, she didn't make it back. Kasian's mom, Olga, soon got the feeling that something was off. So she swung by Libel's home that night, knocked, yelled, nothing. That night at 1 a.m., someone dialed up Kasian's sister, whose name is Evgenia, very Ukrainian, from Kasian's phone. Evgenia missed the call. She tried calling back, but there was no silence. There was radio silence on the other end. Now, on May 25th, Olga tried reaching out to her daughter multiple times, but there was no response. And around 1:44 p.m., Olga, accompanied by a friend, headed to Kasian's apartment to check on her. Seeing Kasian's car in the garage, Olga made her way to the front and she noticed the balcony sliding glass door wide open and she called out, Blake, open the door for me. That's when she saw Libel's silhouette and a hand closing the door. Okay, so then Olga calls the police. 2 LA County Sheriff's deputies roll up to the home and investigated the scene for 2 hours, trying to suss through what the fuck was happening. The blinds on the balcony window was shut tight, so they couldn't peek inside. One deputy tried knocking and ringing the door, but no dice. And then no signs of life or any noises from within. And after taking Libel's cell phone number from a property manager, both deputies called him, leaving voicemails. I mean, they were like, this is fucking serious, urging him to call them back at a specific number. But of course, he's fucking ghosting them, acting like I ain't picking up. I'm not responding to shit.
I could be doing anything. Fuck yeah.
Exactly. So figuring they had no legit reason to barge in, the deputies left. The digital trail and the spy cam footage told it all. On May 23rd, Libel took off from the apartment around 11:20 p.m., swung home a little after 5:09 a.m. the next day, and didn't step out again until May 25th at 11:45 p.m. From that point until May 26th at 1:35 p.m., his cell phone stayed put at the apartment, so he didn't leave. And in the wee hours between May 25th and the 26th, Libel's cell phone log showed 7 calls to and from a man named Stephen Green. Now, in a plot twist, Libel used Kasian's phone to order some late night food. Fat bitch. On May 25th at 1:48 a.m., he pulled the same move using Kasian's phone to get a Postmates delivery. With the strict instructions to drop the food off at the door after buzzing in and do not ring the doorbell. Which is like, okay. But a quick text at 2 a.m. He sent another text reiterating, don't ring the doorbell. So surveillance footage clocked the delivery at 2:14 a.m. He went for another meal on May 26, ordering grub from Kasian's phone just before 3 a.m., with the video showing the delivery 20 minutes later. So he's obviously trying to plant that like Kasian is ordering food. Right. Like oh, she's just here chilling.
Right.
Well, you know, I know who hasn't done that. Like you fucking some dude and you get fucked up and then you're just like, we just gonna sit in the house for the next 2 days and like order Grubhub. Like that's not
the time of death or the time of her missing, but you can't because they're gonna go off when she was actually last physically seen by someone who's looking for her. Mm-hmm. But okay.
So, on May 26th, Olga went all out. She started calling, texting. She's shooting off several chats from 1:45 a.m. to 11 a.m. with zero response from Kasian. And in a text just before 3 a.m., Olga wrote in Russian, Iana, answer me. And then she added, are you alive, my dear daughter? I called the police because he's holding you there, meaning against her will. I came over and knocked. Answer me. So later that morning, Olga made a return trip to her daughter's place, went to the front door, and she dialed 911. Deputy Micah Johnson showed up, got the lowdown from Olga, and chatted with a neighbor in the hallway who hadn't spotted anyone in at least a day or two. So the Deputy Johnson knocked on the door, crickets, and at 8:44 a.m., he dialed Libel, left a voicemail, checking in to see if he and Kasian were all right and urging him to have Kasian, Iana, get in touch with her mother or the sheriff's department pronto. So one of the deputies got his hands on a key from the apartment. And when the cavalry rolled in, he tried to use it on the door. Problem was the safety latch on the inside was in use. So the deputy, Todd Moore, took charge after consulting their sergeant and realizing, okay, this is pretty fucking urgent. Like this ain't nothing we can play with no more. So the circumstances are pretty pressing. So they decided to bust the door down. So the deputies barged in. They did a sweep of the place, the living room, dining room, kitchen, and balcony with no sign of anyone. The whole apartment was pitch fucking black. And the hallway door was locked. So they went in full tilt, forced the door open, but hit a roadblock with a mattress that was barricading the door. After Deputy Moore made it into the hallway, they removed the mattress. The other deputies followed suit, checking out the guest bedroom and the bathroom. No luck. But Deputy Moore did spot blood on the bedroom headboard. Yeah. Next stop, the master bedroom. Door locked. They announced their arrival, but met resistance when they couldn't get the door open due to another mattress barricade. So they yelled, come out.
What the fuck is this?
It's like a mattress. Seriously. What the fuck is it's not a thing. They yelled, come out. If there's anyone inside, come out. A male voice from inside resisted, scared that the deputies might beat him up, pussy, whatever. And Deputy Moore assured him that they were only there to check on his girlfriend and ask about her whereabouts. But this was crazy. So Libel said that she was okay and she was at Cedars-Sinai Hospital, and he even threw in a room number and a bed number. She ain't there. He added that his, quote, father, referring to Stephen Green, who wasn't his father, but who was his accountant and mentor, was on his way, and he wasn't going to budge until he arrived. So Green, who had been worried about Libel's silence for the last month, had been desperately trying to reach him. He was like, this motherfucker ain't picking up. He ain't answering no texts. He not responding to no voicemails. He not responding to no emails. And when Green showed up, he explained his presence. And after a chat with the Deputy Moore, Green had a phone call with Libel. Detective Boagni joined the party, found Green chatting with Libel in the living room, and took the phone. And after a brief talk, Libel finally agreed to step out, wearing only white boxers. That's all he had on. So Green scrounged up some clothes. And as the deputy checked him, they found Libel's passport and $4,000 in cash. Like, where you going, cuz?
Right, not far.
When Libel emerged, Deputy Reyes took his cell phone. So the deputies were about to get in the bedroom and start searching when a fucking bomb dropped. One of the deputies yelled, "She's on the bed."
Oh, shit.
Detective Moore spotted Kasian's lifeless body on the bed. He kicked everyone the fuck out and he called in the paramedics who were waiting. The sad reality hit at 1:02 p.m. Kasian's nude body lay on a clean sheet covered by a red Mickey Mouse blanket over a blue polka dotted one. Her scalp was missing. And there were dried blood stains on the mattress beneath the sheets. But it gets fucking weirder. So behind the bed, human flesh and blood stains were discovered, with additional blood stains on the wall near Kasian's head. A part of an eyebrow was found near the bed, and blood stains were evident on the mattress, side table, and various spots in the bedroom. The mattress blocking the master bedroom door had blood stains, including a large one. In the trash can, a clump of hair and a blood-stained razor was uncovered. Upon entry, warm water was running in the master bedroom bathtub, turned off when the deputies arrived. Bloodstains and hair were visible in the tub, and the drain was tested positive for blood. The sink drain also tested positive for blood, and a green paring knife was with blood at the handle blade junction was found in the bathroom drawer. The hallway blocked mattress belonged to the guest bedroom, also containing bloodstains. Bloodstains on the guest bedroom headboard matched the oval shape consistent with the victim's scalped head. Blood was discovered on towels, a pillowcase, the floor, the drapes, all in the guest bedroom. The guest bedroom's tub drain also tested positive for blood containing freshly cut hair. Chemical testing identified clean blood areas in the dining room, hallway, guest bathroom, and both bedrooms, and the kitchen garbage disposal tested positive for blood.
What the fuck were you even doing?
Oh my God. In the dumpster near the trash chute, investigators found bloodstained items including bedding, towels, clothing, bath mats, placemats, a bed skirt, bloody handprints, human tissue, scalp-like pieces with hair, and an ear. DNA analysis confirmed Kasian's DNA on various items, including tissue, the ear, and the bed skirt. Kasian's DNA was found on the green knife in the master bath drain, on the mattresses and various bloodstained areas of the master bedroom. DNA from both Kasian and Leibel were found on the guest room mattress used for barricading, and Kasian's DNA was present in the blood on the guest room headboard wall. The cabinet in the guest bedroom, samples from Leibel's left hand and fingernails contained Kasian's DNA. Her DNA is all over the fucking place. Now, Chief Medical Examiner Dr. Jonathan Lucas testified that Kasian, who was age 30, died from blood loss due to severe head trauma. More than 80% of her scalp was removed, and a large portion of the skin on her face was missing. Dr. Lucas noticed defensive wounds, bruising, human bite marks, and fingernail marks suggesting a struggle, so she fought. The absence of blood in her heart, veins, and artery were unusual, and that degree of exsanguination indicated that she was alive during the process, likely submerged in water.
What the fuck did you give her that would have made her, that would have made this even possible for her to be still alive while going through this?
Yeah. So here's the thing. So Dr. Michael Habib, who was an expert in anatomy, testified that Kasian's injuries would have been agonizing and required a significant amount of time. And in a study on cadavers, he could not replicate Kasian's exsanguination. Exsanguination is basically the full draining of blood.
Yeah.
He couldn't replicate how much she was drained, which indicated that this was a prolonged and meticulous process. So Dr. Habib concluded that Kasian was alive during the exsanguination, emphasizing the pain and the trauma. They just noticed from how her blood, like how little blood she had and shit like that, that she had to be alive during this shit because the heart pumps blood. You know what I'm saying?
It's just pouring.
There's just blood
like
everywhere.
Going through this. So
the evidence suggested that she was conscious, but she was immobile.
Yeah, he had to give her something because I'm like, what could keep? There's no way you could. I'm like, if this is done in water.
Yeah.
There's just no way. It would just be so much more of a struggle and
everything. And to produce so much blood, you have to have a heart pumping. So when the investigators rolled up to the crime scene, there's Blake just standing there looking kind of just fucking out of it. I mean, he's in an absolute daze. Handling things on behalf of Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department was Sergeant Bill Cotter and Rob Martindale. Now, they've seen their fair share of shit. I mean, this is LA. You know, LA has had some gruesome crimes, but this one, Cotter admitted, quote, walking into this one was just different. And you know what made it even more unsettling? Blake Leibel. Dude had absolutely zero reaction or emotion, which is pretty darn creepy. So Sergeant Martindale later stated in a deposition, quote, he didn't care that she was dead. He had no feelings whatsoever. I pointedly said, she's dead in that bed. And he looks at us and goes, well, I guess you'll just have to find out who did it. Yeah. Now, Sergeant William Cotter, Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, would later say, in my almost 30 years, I have never been involved in a more heinous crime than this. Situated in downtown Los Angeles was a correctional facility called the Twin Towers. They hold the distinction of being the largest mental health facility in the nation. So a day after Blake was arrested, and amid any array of serious charges, including murder, mayhem, aggravated mayhem, and torture, Blake found himself under suicide watch in the Twin Towers because they were like, this motherfucker did a lot. He don't seem to be okay. He gonna kill himself.
This motherfucker would do anything. We don't know what
he's
put him under. Just watch fucking suicide watch. We just got to
watch his ass like Hannibal Lecter ass shit. Now, they're entangled in this logistical fucking nightmare of this murder. Olga, Iana's mom, found herself compelled to not even attend her funeral in the Ukraine. However, Iana's longtime friend did in her place. Her name was Christina Cutts, and she basically just talked about like her history with her and being her classmate. And you know, Cutts had listened to like all these people talk about, revisit like all these memories that they had with Iana, but they also just felt like Iana they didn't know if like maybe she harbored suspicions about this and then just didn't tell anybody about them. You know what I mean? It's kind of like hard to tell. Like, she was beefing with him anyway, but you know, having a crazy boyfriend ain't necessarily unusual.
Beefing isn't the part. It's funny that you say that because I was going to say it doesn't, from his life story, it doesn't really sound like anything preceding this event would give you a hint that he would do.
It was warranted. Yeah.
In particular. Like he hadn't done anything crazy, having like liking dark subjects or sci-fi. If that's the case, one of us. Yeah,
either one of us could be a murderer.
Either one of us could just scalp you. So
it's weird. It is weird.
Sounds like he just had been harboring his whole American Psycho personality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And obviously, I think a history of mental illness, and it could just be genetic. Which makes it terrifying to be around people.
But it's crazy.
His grandmother was crazy. His mom probably was a little crazy. She just never really acted on it. And then he was raped. We don't know. And he was also raised by her. So, that's the thing. So, meanwhile, little Diana, who's now a toddler, resides under the care of her aunt and grandmother in the Ukraine. And according to a close associate, the weight of the situation is particularly heavy for Diana because the prospect of growing up and being aware that her father brutally took the life of her mother will probably cast a shadow on her forever. Quote, the baby, she's never going to have a normal day in her life. The impending revelation of the truth about her parents feels heavy. Repeatedly emphasized by Olga to a family is the sad truth. Blake didn't just kill her, he killed all of us. Now, the prosecution brought in Tom Bevel, who was a certified crime scene reconstructionist, to talk about the specifics. And he dived into the autopsy report, the crime scene pictures, and the evidence. And he noticed that the dry blood on the mattresses where Kasian's body was found and a messy trail of blood on the wall behind it. The circular table near the bed was a blood splatter hotspot, suggesting that Kasian was on the bed during the attack. Bevel figured that she got shuffled around the apartment after the initial hit, landing back on the master bed. Blood in the guest bathroom hinted that she spent some time in the tub. Multiple spots of lividity, which is the bluish purplish discoloration of the skin after death, was on her body, hinted that she had been moved around. Bevel also dissected the blood patterns on the guest bedroom headboard, suggesting that Kasian's head moved during the attack, and bloody hand marks on the bed skirt in the dumpster matched someone lying on the bed, possibly looking at the victim's head, which is very strange to find that detail on a fucking bedspread. That's crazy. Now, Sergeant Robert Martindale mentioned more details about meeting Leibel at the sheriff's station on May 26, 2016. And the dude seemed freshly scrubbed, standing tall at 6'3", weighing 210 pounds. Martindale saw severe bruising on both eyes and the nose bridge, like Leibel took a face beating with his glasses on. This girl fucked him up.
Okay.
Scratches, injuries on the face, chest, neck, bicep hinted at a tussle. Missing fingertip, neck punctures, and a bite mark on the bicep added to the whole fucked upness of this motherfucker.
I'm wondering, did she fuck you up and then
I think it was defensive. I think it was offensive. I think he was trying to kill her.
He was trying to kill her.
Yeah, for sure. Now, Martindale noticed that there was some bruising on his legs as well. I mean, he got kicked, punched, bitten, scratched. That's defensive. You know? Now, so Robert J. Ryan talked about the graphic novel in court because there were similarities to what happened. And Leibel hooked him and his partner, Daniel Quantz, into crafting a comic based on a television show pitch. And despite Ryan initially passing, Leibel, armed with serial killer research, swayed them into creating the graphic novel that we just talked about, Syndrome. And Ryan and Quantz did the heavy lifting in writing the art, and David Marquez handled the illustrations. But Leibel, with comic series experience, was the creative bigwig behind the whole Syndrome thing. They did 50 fucking meetings, and Leibel showed up to about 9, and Ryan only bumped into him once every 5 weeks. But make no mistake, the final say-so was Leibel's. Without his approval, the book wouldn't have happened, and he footed the bill, scoring the publishing deal through his production company. The book cover was a morbid masterpiece featuring a baby doll with a sliced-off skull and the brain exposed. So the photographer Michael Dahan pitched it, and Leibel was like, cool, thumbs up. Now, the storyline, as we know, focused on a doctor that was dealing with all these dark-ass killers, and the actress Karen Oates was used as bait in the serial killer experiment. Fun fact, 7 years later, Ryan found out that Cheadle, because he didn't know that Cheadle, the doctor's last name, was connected to Leibel's family, his mother's maiden name. Oh, and the real Karen was introduced by Leibel. She later became Ryan's wife. You know, it's like there were associations to this shit. Now, the graphic novel went crazy with the concept of draining victims' blood. Leibel even demoed it with hand gestures and sounds and shit. And Quantz weaved it into the story, and Ryan suggested a killer flashback. The book, complete with the chilling illustrations of victims being cut and hung upside down, hit Comic-Con in 2010 before landing in the stores that September. So what they think happened to her is that he, scalped her and then hung her upside down and just let her body drain.
Sounds like an episode off Dexter.
A little bit, yeah.
Very much so.
A little bit. I kind of want to revisit. I actually didn't watch that whole show. I've only seen like 1 or 2 episodes. I kind of want to go through it. Yeah, I never really watched Dexter.
You'll learn some shit about serial killing.
Yeah.
Watching Dexter. But
I may
it definitely
watch that.
Sounds like a whole... they had a serial killer on Dexter where that was his whole thing. Matter of fact, the first episode, actually, the pilot episode of Dexter, they had these body parts laying in like an empty pool. And that's what they were saying. They were like, well, we've never seen this before. The body had been completely drained of blood. Completely. Like that was the whole thing about the serial
You know
killer.
what? They probably based that on this then.
Yeah.
Because that probably would have been around the same time. Early 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would
I'm
be
going to look into that.
very early 2000s. So maybe somebody either consulted or somebody connected to this wrote on the show Dexter. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now I got to watch
crazy.
Dexter. I need something to binge anyway.
Yeah, that first episode will give a little bit of this away. And yeah.
Shit, that's deep.
Ooh,
Okay.
Yeah, I still wonder what the fuck come on, dude. Like, what?
What the fuck?
He doesn't even sound like, from his personality, you can't even really get a gauge on what might have kicked this off or instigated this level of
depravity
aggression or violence, depravity.
Yeah.
Everything. Like, why?
It is. It's wild. Now, in a twist, in 2014, Libel bought out Ryan's 12.5% cut, making him the sole owner of the copyright. So, it's his shit. And during the trial, the prosecutors laid it out plain and simple. Kasian's murder, according to them, quote, came from Libel's jealousy and anger over the baby, along with his need for power and control over his fiance. The only family member showing up to the trial regularly was Libel's brother, Cody, and he was there every single day. Even Libel's ex-wife, Amanda Braun, made an appearance. She didn't mince words and through her lawyer let everybody know that she was pretty fucking upset about this whole thing. She was like, this is some bullshit.
Upset in what way? Like, she doesn't think he...
Not it, like just disappointed, I think. Just like, what the fuck? Just like me and you are, like, listening to this shit is like, what the fuck, dude? Now, fast forward to June 20th, 2018, and the verdict's in. Libel got hit with first-degree murder, torture, and aggravated mayhem charges. And on June 26, 2018, the judge threw the book at his ass, handing him a life sentence without parole.
I mean, well, great, because what the fuck? But I must know, what's aggravated mayhem?
Seriously, that's a good question.
That's the first time I've heard of that.
Yeah,
I know.
You know what's funny that you said that? Because when I saw it, I was like, I keep seeing mayhem. Why do they keep saying that? And I think it's just like that random, erratic, just like
you was on some bullshit,
feverish bullshit killing. Now,
you're going to make up a name and we're going to call it aggravated mayhem.
Aggravated mayhem. Now, the media had a field day with this one, dubbing it grisly and possibly the most gruesome murder in the history of West Hollywood, if not Los Angeles. First of all, back the fuck up. Black Dahlia is pretty goddamn terrible. She was killed.
Stay into that fucking movie.
Fuck the movie. Elizabeth, I want to call her Elizabeth Smart, but I think that's another person. Anyway, the Black Dahlia murder was awful. Her body was cut in half and left in a park in Lamert Park in LA. This was obviously like, I think it was in the 40s or some shit, 30s or 40s or some shit.
Clean half?
Cut in fucking half, and it's still a mystery. They still don't know who the fuck killed her. And what's crazy about the Black Dahlia, because I ran into a little bit of a hole. Let me segue real quick, because I ran into a little bit of a Black Dahlia hole. So Black Dahlia, she came, I don't remember where she came from, but she came to LA just like everybody does to become a star type shit. Okay. She ends up kind of engaging in some escort shit, kind of like prostitute-y.
She was hoeing.
And then she Now, there is not a documentary. There was another podcast. And if I find it, I'm going to post it in the show notes. There was a fucking podcast that talked about how there was this sadistic fucking doctor that could have possibly killed her. And because the cuts on some Jack the Ripper shit was way too precise, clean. You know what I mean? Because if you look at the crime scene, because you can Google Black Dahlia, they show you her fucking body. Like, you can see her body in the park. Her body's cut in half. She's completely nude. And you know who fucking found her is like some lady walking her child in the park, baby stroller and everything. She thought it was a goddamn mannequin, which is always crazy to me because I'm like, what department store you think just throw mannequins in a fucking park? That's a body. So anyway, when I hear shit like, oh, this is the most gruesome murder we've had in Los Angeles, Sharon Tate Manson murders, my God, she was murdered. She was brutally murdered and pregnant. Like, there's fucking nothing worse than that. I will say getting scalped and drained of blood is pretty awful. Do you see it?
No, I actually came across the picture of fucking Cody Libel. So
oh,
yeah,
that's that crazy ass bitch. Yeah, that's him after he got arrested. He look crazy as fuck. Don't look how dark his eyes are. That's how you know a motherfucker.
Smiling.
You know what's crazy too? I was just talking about this with my coworker when my ex-boyfriend went mad. His eyes went dark. And that was the first time I really learned what the motherfuckers talk about in these true crime documentaries, especially women who are dealing with motherfuckers who snap. You do not see him anymore. You do not recognize him anymore. Because there's, you know how they say the eyes are the windows to the soul.
His eyes are fucking dark there.
They're dark. And look at old pictures of Charles Manson. Charles Manson's eyes are dark as fuck. They're not there anymore. It's a lack of just like human presence.
Activity or something.
It's the soul is just gone. And there were like my ex-boyfriend, when he would switch, because I believe he was bipolar. When he would switch, I'd be like, there it is. This is what his motherfuckers. See, people, and I talked about this previously. People think that when you're abused, you just getting beat up every fucking day. No,
it doesn't work like that.
Having to sit and see your boyfriend, somebody that you fucking care for, disappear and start talking crazy and snapping on you and shit is probably some of the scariest shit, because you don't know what his next move is going to be.
And it's confusing too, because it's like you don't expect it. It's not an even if the person is fucking crazy and you've had a crazy incident before, every time it happens, you'll always question like, what the fuck made you?
What made you do that?
There?
Yeah. Because there are arguments.
This reaction?
There are arguments that felt, I don't want to say that felt safe, right? But there are arguments that you could literally be like, I'm talking to you, you know, like I'm arguing with you. And then there were times where I was like, I don't know who the fuck this is. This is a whole different ass person. And I remember being in this room and him constantly slamming this door. And I was like, okay, he's leaving me alone. And then what's so fucking dumb is they put the lock on the outside of this door, which I think is very ridiculous. But
it is.
So the whole time he's closing his door, and I'm like, I hope his crazy ass don't lock me in this room, because I'm gonna have to fucking call the police. And then at this point, he kept like going from my room into this room, from my room into this room. Every time I think he was good, he would come back, yell some more, slam the door. He kept slamming his door so many fucking times that he broke the frame.
And there's no calm down. There's like, you have so much opportunity to calm the fuck down. And it's like, you just won't. You just rather just keep going.
Here's the fucked up part. The more calm I am, the worse he gets upset. And if I decide, I'm going to talk shit back, it gets worse. There's no out.
Yeah,
that's the scary part.
You just kind of have to wait and watch.
You got to wait for it to subside. And you got to hope
that you don't get hurt while it's
in the process. And what I used to do is I would come in here and I'm like, if he locked the door, he locked the door. At least I'm locked in here. But then I started keeping a knife under this pillow. And I was like, this bitch come in here, I'm slicing him the fuck up. That was my option. And then I got to a point where I was like, if I slice this bitch up, I'm going to jail. And I can't go to jail.
And then you start thinking about all the episodes of Snapped, because that's what I would think about. I'd look at shit like Snapped and I'd be like, nah.
I can't beat that one.
Yeah.
I got too much to lose.
Because all you look at when you see Snapped is like, well, okay, sometimes they snap. Sometimes they're crazy as fuck and malicious. And then other times it's like,
yeah.
All I look at is like, oh, but you had so many opportunities to just leave.
To leave me the fuck alone.
You had so many opportunities to just do something else. So to let things rise to a point where you would do this, it started making me feel like, oh, well, no, it'd be like slightly premeditated, because that's what they had asked you in court.
Yeah, for sure.
If this happened on this date and this happened on this date, how the fuck did this even happen on this date? Why were you still even around?
Because you're the sane
person?
One. You know, right? It's like you're the sane one. And at the same time, and I hate to, I mean, it's easy to admit now because I've been in therapy for 1.5 years, but at the time it was more like, I really don't want to get anybody that I know involved in this shit, so I'ma suffer quietly. And until this relationship phases the fuck out, which I learned is like a trauma response that I have, where like I sometimes let shit go on for too long until like I can't deal with it anymore.
Yeah, it's like, well, I don't want to. There's also the response of, I can kind of take being hurt because I've taken it
before.
And enough. Yeah, where I know I can survive, but I can't handle. I don't know what would be my outcome if someone else I loved was harmed
absolutely.
Because of this.
Oh, this bullshit.
And
I couldn't live with that part, you know. And obviously I lost my dog in the process. But I, you know. And you know, and my homeboy Antonio is actually, you know, he made me feel a little better about that, because he was like, unfortunately, he was like, I hate to put it this way, but at the same time, like, Riley saved me.
Yeah, because you needed that level of crazy for you to be like,
whoa,
oh shit, right? For you to get the panic. Like,
yeah, and it,
no, I can't like be around you. Like,
yeah, because I was trying to take the proper approach. I was like, let's get you some help, because I knew the relationship was over. I wasn't trying to stay. I ain't that fucking crazy. I wasn't trying to stay in a relationship.
Side, like, let's get you some help.
Yeah, I wanted to get him some help, but I knew, I was like, this relationship has to end because I can't keep doing this shit. But I knew that we live together. Getting a crazy person out of your house when you live together is like hard, because it was
like, how can he prove that you?
Yeah,
I always start looking for shit like this, because that's how I got rid of somebody. I'm like, oh, okay, so I know how this goes. They'll come in, if I talk to them, they'll like come to check and see if he has things here, and if he has things here,
if he has mail,
fuck down, and I gotta sleep with the enemy some more.
Oh my god! And then having the police come and be like, "Oh well, you should have picked a better boyfriend." I'll never forget that fucking asshole who came here and told me that.
Somebody said those actual words to you?
Police came, 2 cops. That final night after he killed Riley. Final night, police come, 2 cops, Hispanics. He's like, one dude was very nice. He was the one that helped me. Then there was the other dude. I don't know if they was on some good cop, bad cop shit or what. But he comes up here, and my ex-boyfriend is manic because he started drinking now. Because now it's starting to catch up. He realized what the fuck he did. So he's freaking out, right? Cop comes up. Cop's like, you know, he does look a little manic, because they talking to me downstairs. Because at this point, I pulled up in the 30-minute zone. I was like, I'm not going back the fuck upstairs. I need to get my clothes. Police was like, we'll escort you upstairs to get your clothes. So they talking to him while I'm getting my clothes. He's pacing. Okay, there's liquor all over the floor, all over the walls. It's all over the place and shit. And I'm like, if these motherfuckers break this window, this motherfucker ain't even supposed to be in here. But my real hope was, I was hoping he was going to kill himself. I'm not gonna even lie. I was like, if he would just jump over the balcony, this would all be solved. And so the police come, police talking shit, talking to him. We meet back downstairs after I get my clothes. He's like, you're gonna have to find a place to stay. And I was like, nigga, this is my place to stay. He was like, you're not going to be able to get him out. He said he has mail here. I said, do you have proof that he has mail, or are you just guessing? And he was like, my only advice to you is next time, think about who you're dating. That's what he told me.
Well, at least he said it better than what I thought.
That's how I'm saying it.
Oh.
That was the gist of what I'm saying. Well, of what he said.
Okay, in that context, I get what he was saying. He basically was just trying to tell you, like, I know it's fucked up, but that's why you need to be very careful about who you decide to live with.
Thank you.
It's all fucked up.
Captain Obvious. The fuck you mean?
No, because it probably disappoints him to come to places and you expect to remove, because he's fucking human.
Period.
You would expect to be able to remove somebody like that, and he probably looks at it like it's fucked up that we can't just do it because we should.
But say that. Don't look at the person who in this scenario is technically the victim and be like, pick a better nigga next time. That's
man,
basically,
so
he's giving me that tough bullshit that I didn't have the space for, because now I'm post-operative. By the way, all this shit happened when I got out of surgery. I'm bleeding actively while I'm talking to this man. And I'm literally telling him, I'm like, this is my home. Well, do you have a friend? Yeah. Where do I end up? Sleeping on fucking Sal's couch for a week. Post-op.
How the fuck you finally get him the fuck out of here?
Restraining order.
Okay, so you had to go to court.
I had to go to court, get the restraining order. And even then they gave me a temporary emergency one because they had proof. I had a necropsy done on Riley. So they knew that Riley had experienced trauma, and it could only have happened. They didn't know how it happened, but it could have only have happened in the presence on purpose of somebody else. They didn't know if she was kicked, punched, whatever, but either her liver or her kidney had ruptured.
So he kicked the fuck out of her.
I think he kicked her. But even then he kicked her and then left her in this room for me to find, and lit candles around her body.
Oh, he staged it. Oh, you're a fucking...
And played music. Because I had been playing... I had like this, because sometimes even for Luna, I play like dog, sensitive music on YouTube or whatever. The shit was still playing. I come in, I'm used to my dog running to the door. I come in and I'm like, where's Riley? I go in the room, Riley's laying right in front of this fucking door, surrounded by candles. I shit you fucking not.
What in the...
And I was literally like, the fuck? I started screaming because it's one thing to find your dog dead. Okay. It's another thing to stage it almost like a weird ass seance. What the fuck are you on here? Like, was this a sacrifice? What the fuck are you doing? So in my head, I'm freaking out on multitude of levels, not just because my dog, but who the fuck is this dude?
A fucking psychopath.
So when I went to the courthouse and I needed that emergency relief, baby girl was like, this is enough for emergency one. But I had to go to court damn near every month because he wasn't showing up. And if they don't show up, you know what I mean? So I was persistent and she was like, we grant it. And so, but he was leaving because the sheriffs kept coming here. And what's crazy is the sheriff kept calling my phone. I said, has he answered the door? He's in there. Has he answered the door? Has he answered the door? No, that's because this motherfucker was in his packing trying to figure out an escape plan. And then he went down to Georgia.
Well, good. He sounds like a fucking... No, he's a real psychopath.
He's a nut.
Because that's like
that was a lot. When you
killed the living thing and then staged
a whole fucking
stage.
I was
Postmortem.
literally in my head, and I was like,
so confused.
I was
been like,
so confused.
Yeah, I would have been definitely. I'm actually genuinely scared for my life. Get the fuck away from me.
Yeah,
Like,
I told him, I was like, oh no, because So he goes on the balcony. I pick up Riley and I run and I take her to Michigan Avenue to the vet. And I'm like, can you resuscitate? Because she kind of looked like maybe she could be resuscitated. So then I take her there and they say, unfortunately, she can't be resuscitated. And then they start talking about like what I would like to do and, you know, ashes and all this other shit, which I was just like, I can't even fucking think about this shit. Because at this point I was like, I could literally murder you. Like all the shit that I fucking done for you, I could literally fucking murder you. Now I understand how people snap. Because all the shit that I did for that piece of dog shit, and for you to play that move like you played with my dog, because then I told the...
That don't even sound like a move. That sounds like you're a real
nut.
Live crazy.
You're a
fucking
real
person.
life
That does
nut.
not sound like a...
That's
like,
not
you
normal.
Don't think that like, oh, let me kill this dog to hurt this bitch. I bet this will show her. Like, no, you in a fit of rage.
And what's crazy is I was in surgery, so I wasn't here. I had been to brunch. Me and this nigga went to Gibson's before I went into surgery. So it wasn't like there was beef. The night before, we had taken a walk all the way to fucking Navy Pier, came back, went to Chicago Athletic Association, got hot dogs and beer, walked back home. There was no beef. What the fuck you kill my dog for? And then even if you were like accidentally did some shit, for the fact that you didn't express it was an accident. There was no expression of, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do this. It was nothing. Like I came here, I'm screaming, I'm crying. There's no consoling, by the way. No hugs. There's no I'm sorry. There's no nothing. This motherfucker is on the balcony while I am in this room trying to figure out what the fuck to do with my dog. Take my dog. I come back after that though. And that's when I'm like, don't talk to me. Don't touch me. Don't say shit. At that point, he had been drinking. And I was like, I'm in big trouble now. Because this motherfucker has been drinking. I'm
not going to lie. That motherfucker sounds scary. I probably would have been genuinely scared to
Lauren,
death
scared
after some shit like that. Like,
is a fucking understatement. I watch too much dark shit to just be scared. My imagination went crazy. But what people don't understand about that too is that not only am I afraid of what he's going to do to me, I'm afraid of what I may have to do to him. Yeah. That's a different type of fear. Because at that point, I'm like, oh, is this the day that I fucking stab this motherfucker? Is this because I don't got no guns in here, which I was grateful for that. But then the entire time I couldn't help but think, what if he stabs me?
After that Riley shit, I probably wouldn't have even thought like, oh my God, what if I have to do something to him? I probably would have immediately accepted the fact that, oh, I'm not this crazy on any fucking given day for any fucking reason. Yeah. This person is genuinely fucking
nuts.
Dangerous.
Bonkers. So...
For him to not say anything, not say shit.
Lauren,
but you had the wherewithal. You fucking staged candles, but you don't say anything. What the?
You don't say I'm sorry. I was walking He left my surgery. He was in the waiting room in my surgery. He left, took my car keys, came here. I'm gonna walk Riley. So we won't have to worry about that when you get out and I could just come back and pick you up. He came back and picked me up. My dog was already dead.
And he had already staged the candles.
Nigga. Look.
Ooh, them motherfuckers, I ain't gonna lie.
When I tell you,
like a different type of fucking crazy.
Thank you. And when I tell you I've been in therapy for over a year for a motherfucking reason, because motherfuckers think that motherfuckers think every situation got to be Ike and Tina Turner. That's not always, abuse has many different looks. It is not always just that. Sometimes it's psychological warfare.
It really is. It's like a do something to you and then be nice to you.
Yeah.
Like, it can be very confusing.
It's breadcrumby. It's like we're having an argument, we're beefing. Because that's what made, even when I was doing this, because my mom actually gave me this idea. She was like, I think you should do it on Blake Libel. And I was like, I don't even know who the fuck that is. I didn't even know who this nigga was till last week. And I'm sitting up here and I'm researching it and I'm like, oh, this poor girl. To deal with that.
No, she couldn't see it coming. Like, no one saw it coming.
No.
They thought that he was a normal guy.
And being weird and liking sci-fi and wanting to write comic books is not a bad thing. But to not, that's the scary part about shit like this, is you don't know the moment. We hear about it all the time. I did another episode on this when I did Chris Watts. Chris Watts murdered his wife, his pregnant wife, and 2 of his children, threw them in a fucking pipe at an oil refinery.
I think that's what made that such a good, it's not a good story.
Yeah, of course not.
But as far as how Britt told the story,
yeah,
it did make it a very good story, because it doesn't track. You don't see it coming. It's not like I knew that motherfucker was going to do something. It's more like he did what?
Yeah, my homeboy had actually just posted on my Swear to Drunk Instagram a comment where he said that what he liked about how I tell the stories is that I always focus on how they got there. I focus sometimes more on how they got to that point than I do the actual crime itself, because and what I was telling him is that part of me is always trying to emphasize to people, and I'm not saying don't trust people, but just understand that sometimes it's not that cut and dry. Yeah. It's not like, Ted Bundy is a great example. He had a lot of women. He had a lot of girlfriends. He had a lot of people. People were in love with Ted Bundy, even though he was dark.
With the eyes.
He did have the eyes. I probably wouldn't have fucked with him. But at the same time, in that time where they were so naive about men, and it's like, he's the boy next door, and he's this. If he didn't look like,
really fucking slow. Like,
they
to
were.
See some of them comment. It was one lady, I don't know. He's just so dreamy and he just looks like a nice guy, and I don't see what people's problem with him.
His eyes ain't got no spirit.
Bitch, he kills people.
He literally. But the crazy part about that too is like, that's post Manson, where everybody is also just looking for the deranged, drugged out serial killer. They not looking for the guy who's college educated, who, you know what I mean? They're not looking for the prim proper serial killer. They looking for deranged lunatics. Which is interesting. It's like, guys, don't judge a book by its period,
cover, because sometimes that's all it's for, is to be a cover of what's actually on the inside.
It's marketing. That's all it is.
Yeah,
it's marketing
like a motherfucker. But yeah, this guy, I wouldn't see it coming. Looking at his face, you wouldn't see it coming.
No.
He looks like, a pretty normal,
ish. And to me, he looked in the early pictures, and I'm going to post some on my Instagram too. In the early pictures, he has more of just like a guy I went to film school with, honestly.
I was about to say, he looks like a tall Seth Rogen.
Yeah. Okay, I'm almost done. Now, the LA County District Attorney's Office decided against seeking the death penalty, obviously, and Deputy District Attorney Tanaz Mokayev likened the case to a movie script, describing it as a horror story with a prolonged attack. She pointed to Libel's co-written book syndrome, suggesting that it played out like a script, echoing Kasian's fate just weeks after giving birth. Now, Blake's murder conviction might seem like a blip on the radar for his dad and brother, because even with their hefty bank account, Libel had to settle for a public defender because, as a friend told The Hollywood Reporter, the family isn't going to give him any money. They don't give a fuck. They didn't give a damn. That's what he actually said. But hey, the good times kept rolling for Lauren and Cody, because Lauren Libel didn't let the murder drama slow down his boat racing. He'd been actively racing before, during, and after the trial. And get this, he's looking forward to kicking it up a notch on his upcoming race.
Lauren's like,
fuck
I knew I didn't like that.
I didn't like this
kid.
bitch. Not long after his brother's trial rap, Cody Libel had his PR crew put in overtime. They managed to score a spot in the LA Times in 2017, bragging about his real estate purchase in the fancy Beverly Park area of Los Angeles. That motherfucker's like, welp. And Iana's mom, Olga, packed up and headed back to Ukraine, taking custody of Diana. Turns out the Kasians hit Blake Libel with a wrongful death suit and scored big. And in February 2019, they walked away with $41.6 million, settling the score for Diana, Olga, and Iana's estate. Now, the bigger question is if they got actually paid. Because some OJ shit, Nicole Brown Simpson's family never got paid. You can be rewarded the shit all you want, but if they ain't got the money, you ain't gonna get it. So, well,
that's a good question.
Yeah. That is the gruesome murder of Iana Kasian.
That was fucked up. It's like you can't even listen to the story and go, here are the red flags. Here are the warning signs. There were no warning signs like that.
And it's
a crazy bitch.
He's just crazy. I mean, and that's the thing. And that's the thing about snapping. I will say that it's hard to tell the difference. I think you can, when I think about like whether or not you can actually tell, I feel like there are some warning signs. Because with my ex, there were definitely warning signs. The problem is that I knew that if I had asked for the ending of a relationship or kicked him out, it would have led to a totally different type of rage. And I wasn't trying to deal with that. I was like, let's just ride this the fuck out. But with this situation, she probably noticed some things and she just ignored them. Some women just ignore some shit. Now, did she know she was going to be murdered? Probably not. She probably thought maybe we get into an argument, he get physical. Maybe. But
then the first wife, or not the first wife,
she ain't had no issues.
She didn't say anything, right? So that's where you usually would get a hint where it's like, okay, the wife has said that he has these sorts of tendencies.
Yeah.
But no, there wasn't any of that either.
No. Nope. So that's what makes this scary, is when there is no indicator that, shows that I'm in trouble. And this girl wasn't with him long. I mean, she wasn't with him long. She had a baby with him, sure. But it wasn't like they were together for 10 or 15 years. She wouldn't have had enough data. You know what I mean? Like the other wife had been with him, since 2006, I think. They had been together for they had known each other for almost 10 years. She would have actually been the one to really know whether or not he was capable of this shit. Not Iana. She just came into the situation. How many relationships have you been in and you fucked some dude and y'all been fucking for like a month? Not even a month, but a year. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it sounds like this was always inside of him and it just so happened to come out on this date. It'd be interesting because this, what did you say that? When was he sentenced?
He was sentenced in 2018, but this happened in 2016.
So I wonder, has there been any interviews since he's been sentenced where he talks about this, where he just opens up and becomes honest about the moment where he just flipped like this?
Well, I mean, I don't even, it kind of reminds me of was it the Vampire Sacramento one? Yeah. I told my mom that I thought it was drug induced because that level of, it's somebody who's already mentally ill who maybe takes a drug. It's LA. Cocaine, LSD, PCP, kind of reminded me of some shit. Lloyd Avery, remember him? Mm-hmm. Who smoked Sherm. I did the Vampire Sacramento, who had LSD history. Psychedelics and shit trigger shit in people. Because I believe when my ex-boyfriend really snapped was when we did mushrooms. I think that's when he lost it. So I feel like in some people, that's when you get triggered. That's when certain things come out. And that's when you can't always separate what is going on in your head from reality, or either that, they just blend together and they become one. And then because in the Vampire Sacramento, which was the reason why I mentioned this, when they talked to him about all the people he had killed and sliced up, he didn't even know that they were people. With him, with Blake, they come in and he's like, well, hope you find them. Nigga, what the fuck you mean? We hope you find
you just did this.
We just caught you laying in the bed with your fiance who doesn't have a scalp. Blood is everywhere.
You're still here. You go, I hope you find him.
You're still here in boxers.
He went that way.
You better go get him. Nigga, what the fuck you mean better go get him?
Hurry, he's fleeting.
Exactly.
Son of a bitch.
Son of a whore. So anyway, all right, let's conclude. So you didn't enjoy it, but it was definitely interesting.
I did enjoy that. I'm always, you know what? I love to understand what makes people tick. I'm the why person. So now I'm just sitting up here kind of going over in my head like, damn, but there were no signs. It doesn't even sound like it. She just caught him on the night where he just...
And that
all the crazy that was on the inside. What was the question on the cover of the book?
When he was like,
you just really want to hurt people on the inside. Like, what do you do with that? And it just sounds like that was on the inside, and whatever happened that night, just brought it the fuck out.
And I think it's interesting too, is there's always something, you know, and I hate to say it, but it's always also kind of related to like some other chick too. Like, even if you think of like, and I'm not trying to get into this for a long period of time because I got to pee.
Me too.
But, but when you think of either like the Jonathan Majors situation where it's like erratic behavior because of bitches, it's like, walk the fuck away and keep walking until everybody calms the fuck down. And like the fact that you cheated, like he's cheating on Iana, like part of me wonder if it's like a Chris Brown situation where it's like, you know what I heard about the Chris Brown thing?
Get cheated on, you're gonna get your ass whooped. You
period.
Accuse somebody that is cheating on you.
But you know what my mama heard.
Cheating on you.
And I heard it. I ain't look into it. I'm gonna say allegedly. My mama claims she heard that the reason why Chris Brown fucked up Rihanna was because he found out that she gave him herpes. Have you heard that?
I had heard that, but I keep on looking. Whenever I think about that situation, I keep on considering the fact that they had, if I'm not mistaken, they had the word teen,
that's in their age,
part of their age. And I think people take for granted the fact that when you're a teenager,
you do wild shit.
Your shit is not developed. You're essentially still a fucking kid. It's just you just entered this stage in your life where you can do grown shit. And then if you add to the fact that we have money, which any adult, that's kind of what you're after. Well, we've got that in the bag, so we're grown as fuck, and we're not going to at all pay attention to the fact that we just mentally don't function
in the same way.
Yeah, we don't have high functioning mentally because we're not fucking, we're like 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
10 years away from being fully developed human beings.
Yeah.
So, I think a lot of couples that are young get into fights because at like 18, 19, that is where the age where you still think you could fuck a dude.
But you also don't know how to handle conflict at that age.
You don't
That's
know
why
how to
so
handle
many
conflict.
high schoolers get into fights. That's why so many people, even in college, get into fights. You don't know how to maturely handle conflict. If there was a beef, and, you know, at my age, like, I'm the biggest walk away from a motherfucker. I'm not about to fight you. I'm just not. I'm not about to sacrifice my shit, and I'm not about to go to jail. What I'm about to do is walk the fuck away because I enjoy watching you look stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not about to fight you. I'm not about to put my hands on. First of all, I wasn't raised that way.
Even when you were a teenager?
I never fought. No, I never had to. What the fuck am I fighting you for? First of all, I used to get into situations with certain women. I think sometimes, like, women can be completely irrational. We know that to be 100% true. But I was also one of those people like, you need to be fighting him. Fuck you over here for talking to me. The fuck you trying to fight me for?
Oh yeah, I never was that.
I'm not
kind of
fighting
girl,
over no
like,
dude. Because generally that's what all the fights are about.
Yeah,
Niggas.
no, I've never done that. I talked to someone about that recently. If you call me and you're like trying to talk to me about some shit like that, I'm gonna laugh at you.
No, call your
because
call
you
your
don't
husband.
know me, but you do know this person, but you'll call the motherfucker that you don't know.
Yeah, because your bitch ass planning on staying with him. You don't get mad at like
Exactly. So bitch, just stay with him. Why are you gonna try to get to know me? Like this is just an unnecessary
I don't want to get to know you. Fuck you talking about. And more importantly, like
I
if
want to
they're
find out because I'm coming to you. As
no,
a woman.
what you trying to do is find somebody to argue with. And you know bitches are easy to argue with. You're not about to argue with me. If I was fucking a dude and his girlfriend decided to call me, she's getting radio silence. Fuck you. Talk to him. You the one that you laying under him all day.
The funny thing is, if you call me, I'm gonna just tell you what the fuck I know you want to hear.
That's what I mean.
That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give it to you player
Like,
style since you called my
yeah,
phone.
like now if
idiot.
you like, of course, yeah. If you
not
call,
like give you all the tea as far
no,
as
yeah,
what
I ain't
happened
give you the
between us.
gnarlies.
No, I'm gonna tell. Oh, it's nothing.
It's nothing.
I'm not gonna tell you anything because now at this point, once you call my phone and now I've gotten a random phone call from a fucking stranger. It's nothing.
Yeah.
You're okay.
First of all, I don't know you. I'm not about to tell my business to you. Who are you?
You're
and
okay.
second of all, if you have this concern, you need to really focus on why you're calling me, not who I am. You need to focus on that nigga you still sleeping with. And you need to focus on why you're calling me, which is because of that nigga you still sleeping with. The shit ain't got nothing to do with me. You're not getting no information from me. You're not getting no answers from me. I don't know you. So what you need to focus on is your relationship. That's who owes you loyalty. I don't owe you shit.
Yeah, as a grown person, I've started to and I kind of attach this to all relationships. I don't give a fuck whether it's family, friends, men. If there's a question, there's a question.
Yeah, that period.
If there's an unsolved equation, there's an unsolved fucking equation. Sometimes you don't really have to waste your time to go and solve the equation, but you can just look at the fact that there is a looming question.
Yeah. Start with the question. The fact that you're questioning this situation is your answer, actually. Because if this was a loyal ass situation, or if you felt supported and if you felt loved and respected and all the shit you're supposed to feel, you wouldn't be calling me. Where would you even get my number from?
Is this a relationship or is this an unsolved mystery? Because that's what the fuck it sounds like.
It sounds like you're calling
unsolved
me
mysteries and tell them all about me and your man. And it
sounds like you're calling me for confirmation. Because you already know what the fuck is going on.
But why? But here's the funny part. Why the fuck would I give that to you?
Yeah.
I
don't know you.
I think that's one of the funniest things a person can do.
I don't pillow talking that way.
I called this bitch up. Why? You don't know me. I'm going to treat you like a telemarketer.
Be like, hello, this is Harold's. What would you like to order? Would you like a quarter dark?
Wait, here you go. Para español.
Para español.
Aprima número dos.
And it's like, it's not like, because here's the thing. And the reason why I can laugh at this is not because I support your cheating, awful boyfriend. What it is simply the fact that if it were me and I was questioning the loyalty of my boyfriend, I wouldn't call you.
Right. I'm encouraging your own intelligence.
Yeah. I'm encouraging you to go to the source. He started the shit. You need to deal with him. Don't come to me.
You know, the funny thing is,
I'm not in a relationship with you.
Source. You are the fucking source.
That's period.
Once you start having to go outside of yourself, it just is what it is. What the fuck? You bored? Because I've been bored before. And so I understand the shit that can happen.
That comes with boredom?
That I'm willing to do when I'm bored. And I think y'all just be bored.
Yeah, I think so.
And
And
don't
I
know what
also
to do with
and
the
I
boredom.
also just know, I mean,
Call his
have I
bitch.
known whether or not I was blatantly cheated on? Like, no, I don't know, because I don't know anybody who was brave enough to really do that, except the crazy one.
Ooh, I have been blatantly cheated on.
But we
And
ain't even
the
gonna get into
answer
that.
was so fucking obvious.
But
Like,
you probably
it was
knew.
nothing to ask.
Yeah,
anyone.
I was
just
about to
who
say.
was it?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to kind of like know, so we can dick measure, like, oh, you fucking this ugly bitch. Oh, that's wild. Like, if you want to know for that purpose, then sure. If you feel like it's gonna suit your ego, but what I'm not gonna do is like follow it up and start calling people. Like, I'm just not gonna do that. I'm not gonna send her an email. I'm not gonna blast, you know, any of the information or the things that we did together to kind of like make her. I'm not going to engage in it because that's what she wants. She wants me to engage in this, and it's only going to fuel her and get her more hyped. Who she needs to go to is the person that she's committed to, not me, because she's not committed to me.
Yeah, I don't like talking to strangers, and I just feel like,
I don't like telling,
telemarketer.
Yeah, and I don't like telling strangers about, you know, my coochie tales.
Yeah, you might as well call me and be like, "Hey, I'm with the Chicago Police Department.
Yes,
We're looking for donations."
I was about to say,
which the fuck they do.
best way to find out whether or not, for me, whether or not I'm fucking your boyfriend is for you to act like it is a criminal investigation and you are interviewing witnesses. Like, hey, so Josh was murdered. And we have his phone, and we have been calling all his contacts, and you showed up
As the last
in his
person
call.
that he talked to.
Yeah, and in his text message. So we would like to know what is the nature of your relationship. The best way you can get me to answer.
That's actually a good one.
Yeah. See? Mm-hmm. So anyway,
Not for me. I'm hanging up immediately.
the end of this episode got messy as fuck. We gotta have you back on. We gotta have you back on. I ain't had a 2-hour episode in a minute.
The murder's going unsolved.
Exactly.
Hang up on the police.
Be like, oop, boop. I don't speak to 12.
Change my number, right? Change my number because I can't be getting caught up in
can't
murder
read.
investigations. I didn't murder him.
I don't know.
His girlfriend did it.
His baby mama did it.
After I hung up on her
Exactly.
as well.
She probably did it. Meanwhile, she is on the phone like, this bitch just said I killed my... All right, this episode is so fucking over.
Did you check with the girlfriend?
They be like, damn. She wasn't trying to tell me that she was fucking my boyfriend, but she gonna try to accuse me of murder? That's crazy.
Because he said that she was fucking crazy and that she flips out and do wild shit. So, did you check with her?
Start
She probably
narking.
murdered him.
They'll start narking.
He was fucking with me. Probably was fucking with someone else. So.
They be like, Brittany
check
is
with
one of the
those
ops. Exactly. All right, y'all take care. I gotta pee, and so does Lauren. And Lauren will be back on another episode. And this was fun.
Bye, cousins and brothers and sisters.
Bye,
and friends.
bitches.
Bye.